Okay. So good morning, everyone. So first of all, let me start by thanking Raj Malhotra sir, and thank you to all you wonderful ladies and gentlemen for being here, taking your time out for listening to us. मुझे जब सर ने बोला, I'll be bilingual anyway. So मुझे जब सर ने बोला कि please come and talk to the students. I hope you all, most of you are students of Raj Malhotra, right? तो सर ने बोला कि प्लीज़ कम एंड टॉक टू some of you guys so that थोड़ा सा उन्हें एक्सपीरियंस मेरा पता चले, what I have been through, how has my journey been. So I'll just give you a brief about the UPSC journey especially. So first attempt was in 2015. I did not clear prelims. Second was in 2016. I got rank 366, in which I got Indian Audit and Account Service. My optional score, my main score was very good. My interview score was 124, which is one of the worst. The third attempt after getting service, I did not get through prelims again. And fourth attempt, this is my fourth attempt, so I have been fortunate enough to get a good rank, and my interview score has improved a lot. So this is a just brief idea so that you are able to direct questions accordingly to me. So I'm just trying to make a point that my main score has been decent enough, but the interview has changed from the second attempt to fourth attempt, and it has been very unpredictable because third attempt I did not clear prelims again. So this is the brief idea about how my journey has been. So what else? So let me share another thing also. Like when I was giving this particular attempt, especially the mains writing, so at that time I was training in Shimla. तो जब मैं शिमला में था, I don't know how many of you are aware, there is an academy in Shimla, National Academy of Audit and Accounts. So the training is pretty rigorous there. They start at 9:30 and they end at about 5:30. I am a little bit of sports enthusiast, so I used to try to play tennis every day for an hour or so. So I generally used to start studying for mains at around 7 o'clock in the evening. And then I will read it till about 10, 11, something like that. तो जनरली मेरा जो ड्यूरेशन ऑफ स्टडी रहता था, दैट यूज्ड टू बी फॉर अबाउट 3 hours एवरी डे फॉर वीकडेज एंड ऑब्वियसली मच मोर ऑन सैटरडेज एंड संडेज. बट आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू मेक अ पॉइंट दैट आपको बहुत लोगों ने सुना भी होगा या आपको खुद को भी फील होता होगा दैट यू नीड टू स्पेंड 12 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours ऑफ स्टडिंग इन फॉर प्रिपेयरिंग टू दिस एग्जाम. इट मे बी ट्रू बट इट इज नॉट नेसेसरी. सो इट डिपेंड्स ऑन, इट वेरीज फ्रॉम पर्सन टू पर्सन. मैंने 3 घंटे में भी करा है, और लॉट ऑफ इट एज डिपेंडेंट ऑन कि मैंने पहले क्या पढ़ा हुआ था, पहले मुझे क्या रिटेन था, बट ऑल्सो इट डिपेंड्स ऑन कि मैं किस तरह से, व्हाट इज माई मेथड ऑफ स्टडिंग, व्हाट इज माई मेथड ऑफ अप्रोचिंग दिस पेपर. तो ऑलवेज फाइंड योर ओन वे. ये कभी भी नहीं करने की जरूरत है कि आप 12 घंटे, 14 घंटे, 15 घंटे पढ़ोगे तभी ये पेपर पास होगा, ऐसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. सो दैट्स वन पॉइंट आई वांटेड टू मेक. Over the past few days, lot of people have asked me ki what is that particular message that I would like to give to the young aspirants like you guys here. So I don't know. So basically I thought about it a lot, and I think I came up with 4 or 5 points that I would just like to make briefly, and then probably after that we'll have a small question answer round with me and Ayushi, and we'll answer your questions strategy specific, right? So I'll just make a brief point, and I think it's very important because a lot of it, passing the paper, a lot of it is temperamental, and a lot of it is how you approach the paper, not exactly what you write. So let me just make those points and take some time of yours. तो सबसे पहले जो बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है, that is to find your inner drum beat. And what I mean by finding your inner drum beat, your अंतर्ध्वनि, is to know that what exactly do you want to do in your life. So it should not be कि मेरे पेरेंट्स मुझे बोल रहे हैं या मेरे दोस्त यूपीएससी दे रहे हैं तो मैं यूपीएससी दे देता हूँ और मेरे को यूपीएससी दे के that is the end of it. So you have to understand that UPSC is not the end in itself, it's a means to an end. So that means can also be something else, the end has to be the same. So please try to understand, and I'm not just saying because I have reached a certain position. I've always felt that, I've always believed that, it's just that I've got the forum to express it now. So always try to understand कि जब भी आप कोई चीज़ को अप्रोच कर रहे हो तो just take it as a medium and not the end itself. So ये बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है, that will reduce a lot of pressure on you. और once you are assured of that particular inner drumbeat of yours, then it doesn't matter कि आप first attempt में clear करते हो या 5वें में या 9वें में. It doesn't matter at all. Once you are there, you are equivalent to everybody and anybody. It's just a matter of chance कि somebody got through in the first attempt and somebody got through in the 9th or something like that, right? Okay, so next point is, I have already made this point that every individual is unique, and the point that I want to emphasize here is this, that the competition should not be with anybody else around you. It has to be with your own younger self. So आप कल क्या कर पा रहे थे and what exactly have you improved in yourself, not only intellectually but personality wise overall? What have you seen yourself doing? वो बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है. So always try to compete with your own younger self and what you have improved in yourself, but not with anybody else. That will help you a lot. Third, I have actually jotted down 3 words for you, and which primarily are dedication, commitment, and perseverance, which primarily go on to say that the focus is the key, and focus होना बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है. It does not mean to say, and I have never said this, कि social media से मेरा ऐसा कोई relation. I have always been active on social media, by the way. तो it doesn't matter, it's a big myth according to me कि social media पे हो गया तो पेपर क्लियर नहीं होगा, ऐसा कभी भी नहीं है. I'm there on Facebook, Instagram, और क्या होता है, सब कुछ जगह हूँ मैं तो. बट हाँ, so it doesn't matter, trust me, doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is how you use those particular medias. So you are the one who owns that particular page of yours or the profile of yours, so you have to decide how you want to use it and how you want to utilize it. Trust me, I have always been able to utilize it constructively and for a better and positive manner. It's always helped me. It's never the fact that मुझे इसका कभी नुकसान हुआ हो with whatever social media channels you can think of. I'm not on Twitter, by the way. But ठीक है. So let me go to the last point and then probably Ayushi will talk about it. And the process of constant learning, it's very important here. Especially for people who are giving repeated attempts. तो उनके साथ क्या होता है कि once you are not able to get through in the first attempt, मेरे साथ ऐसा हुआ था, I've already told you, first and third attempt. So after that you tend to get disheartened and you are not, you think that there is some problem in you and other things like that. Please don't think like that. Please try to learn constantly, because once you stop understanding yourself, once you stop learning, then there is nothing to improve, right? But there is, because that is one of the reasons why you have not been able to score well or get through the paper in the first or second attempts, whatever. So always try to improve yourself. And let me just end by re-emphasizing whatever I've said in the form of a famous quote. So think of yourself like a sports person, and I'm repeating this from yesterday, but I like this quote a lot. So think of yourself as a sport person. So that as a sport person, play for the badge that is on your heart, and people will always remember the name that is there behind. So I'll end by this. Thank you very much.
So hello everyone. I am Ayushi, and I have secured AI 86 this time. Now, something I really want to highlight about my UPSC journey is that this was my first ever interview in all my 4 attempts. And after my successive failures in 3 attempts, both my own confidence as well as the confidence of people around me had begun to erode, and you begin to question whether it's worth it to put so much time and energy in this exam. And all those things. But one thing I want everyone to take away from my example is this, that yes, it is worth it. You can have had a issue of failures, but still you can get even in under 100 rank. Right? That is what I want to highlight. And the second thing I want to highlight is that when you're preparing and then it takes you 2-3 attempts and there is no work experience and you're worrying, okay, I don't have work experience, what will happen to me in the interview? So that insecurity also is not very justified, because my best marks, the highlight in my mark sheet is actually my personality test marks. I have 193, and that is, to my best knowledge, the highest marks given by Shri P.K. Joshi Sir board. So all the preconceived notions and insecurities are not necessarily true in the exam. What is true is that yes, if you are consistently improving, as Sir referenced, and you have fundamental belief in why you want to be here and that you are suitable for this job, then you will make it in some attempt or the other. Now, I'd like to touch briefly on prelim strategy because it's right on hand. And in 2017, I had decent 133 and the cutoff was 105 for general category. This year, the cutoff was 98 and I had 114, so I think I fared fairly decently in prelims. So for prelims, the most important point is that one aspect is knowledge, the other aspect is strategy. Do not think that studying alone is enough for you to clear prelims, because apart from studying, what also counts is how are you attempting the paper and how are you managing your time in those 2 hours. So I'll take both of these aspects quickly. First is the knowledge aspect. So in the knowledge aspect, I advise everyone to begin from the past year questions for prelims. That is your best area to identify what are the types of questions asked and what are the important areas which are emphasized in every subject. For example, if you take modern history, so that timeline from 1935 to 47 is one of the areas which is usually asked frequently. So you know that okay, this is an important area, इसको अच्छे से revise करके जाना है, इसको last week में देख के जाना है because it's important area, right? And also the type of questions, because with internet and so many coaching institutions, there's also an overload of information. There are so many test series you can attempt. So there's some also absurdity actually creeping in terms of what is being offered to students. So you have to have that filter ki okay, this is relevant, this is not relevant, and let me leave it aside. The second factor is maximizing your revisions. That is something which is relevant for mains as well, but also for prelims, because you have to recollect this piece of information when the chances are that you will be confused and under a stress situation. So only when you maximize your revision is that the probability is higher that you will have clarity and you will not get confused in the question. Secondly, usually I used to have some problem areas. For example, geography was not one of my stronger areas. So I advise people that you can have some short notes or something which you can look at right before, say 3 days before prelims or 2 days before prelims. The question may not come, but it will give you confidence heading into the exam hall that okay, even in my weak areas, I have made the best effort I could possibly have. And last advice is to not switch your material frequently. FOMO, fear of missing out, नया material आया है, I should also take a look. That's a very bad idea. Be it your static books or your current affairs sources, whatever you have studied from the beginning of your preparation cycle is your best friend, and what you should be doing is revising it frequently instead of switching your sources. Now I'll come to the strategy portion for prelims. So one is that, see, everyone attempts test series, that is the in thing right now. But do not go to test series before you have looked at past year questions, because I believe that will give you a fair idea of what to look for in a test series. Secondly, when you are practicing test series, also look at what is your accuracy level, what is your kind of, I say, the sweet spot of attempting questions. It could be 85 questions for someone, 90 questions for someone, depending upon the paper level as well as depending upon your own accuracy level. So while you are practice these things also, and also even minute things that how are you choosing to bubble your questions. Say I used to do it after a set of 25 questions. So that also you have to practice in those 2 hours, because if you do it right at the end, or if you do not practicing bubbling OMRs, you can make a mistake. I know people have done that mistake. And also develop your elimination tactic. See, in a good year, in an easy paper, you will know about 40 questions for sure. In a bad year, for example, I consider 2018 a bad year, a difficult paper. So you will know only about, say, 25-30 questions for sure. So utne questions are, it's too few actually to attempt, right? So you have to stretch your elimination abilities. थोड़ा आपको guesswork elimination पे improve करना होगा to attempt a decent number of questions, and that ability is actually practiced when you are taking your test series. तो उस पे भी work करना है. And last is managing stress. When you see that okay, पहले 10 सवाल नहीं आ रहे हैं, right? So especially in a paper like 2018, I have a couple of friends who got very nervous and then started thinking अब नहीं होगा. That also is very important. You have to practice that ability while attempting the papers also, that you do not have to judge the difficulty level, you do not have to assess your performance sitting there in the exam hall. What you have to do is focus on each question as it comes to you, and apply the knowledge you have acquired to the best of your ability. See कि ठीक है, जितना मुझे पता है उसमें can I solve this question? That is the approach which should be there. And the last and most important advice I believe, and which sir also referenced, was that you have to chart your own strategy actually, because 10 people may potentially come and tell you 10 different things which worked for them, but neither of them can potentially work for you. So you have to look at your own strengths and weaknesses, and okay, learn from people who have cleared, but also look at your own strengths and weaknesses and then devise your own strategy. And I'd like to briefly touch on mains, because mains was a stage I was repeatedly failing. I failed 2 mains. So for mains, the most important mistake I was doing was not completing my papers. So for mains, you have to sit with your mark sheet and see where you can improve. What is the one big mistake which you are making, which is really pulling down your score? So for me, it was not completing my papers, and I took measures accordingly. I wrote a little more in my 18 attempt before mains, because I knew all the reading is not going to help me if I am not going to complete my paper. Then for personality test, I have begun with my introduction touched upon personality test, that you have to leave your preconceived notions and insecurities outside. You may think, I have to come from a very established college, or I have to have done a lot of extracurricular. It's not necessarily true. If you are honest, and if you have worked on preparing your DAF well, you can reasonably assume that, okay, it will be an above average score, in my experience at least. And I'd like to close with a section which I call a general life advice section. So, see, because most of you are probably fresh aspirants, it's your first attempt or something like that, or maybe your first attempt is next year. So one advice I would really like to press upon is that you have to be careful of your company. That is something which went really wrong for me in my first 2 attempts. I was in horrible company. So if your attitude, your preparation for the exam is the sum of 5 people you spend your most of the time with. So if that company is not really motivated, it's here to just kind of spend time, chill. So that's not a it's a very bad signal for you. Secondly, you have to maintain your enthusiasm. You have to fight till the end. Like sir had referenced, your enthusiasm begins to erode. जैसे जैसे attempt बढ़ते हैं, you begin to question and all, and then life happens. Things are coming in between. In my case, my brother's marriage was on 13th February, and my personality test was on 27th February. So I was like, okay, I have to balance these 2 things. But ये सब चलता रहेगा. This is never going to end. Someone will fall sick or something like that. It will keep happening. But because this is so important for you, this is a career-defining move. You have to keep your focus intact on your goal. And third point in general life advice is to maintain confidence. It becomes progressively important as you clear each stage, right? Because the competition gets tougher, and it's actually a very essential component of your success, whether you are confident enough or not. And the last advice again is a reiteration that you have to trust your own common sense. You can listen to advice from 5 people, but you have to come back to your own common sense and devise your own strategy. That's it.